Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JDA Football. Sorry for the bit of the wait. But yeah, we are joined by Jude's Journey. Thanks for coming on, Jude. How are you?
No problem, mate. And yeah, I'm all right. But I'm a bit confused by the recent day and the recent football announcements.
Yeah, I think the past 24 hours has been a shock to everyone, really. How are you, Alex?
No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, happy to be back on.
Good. Right, so we're going to get into it. So before we actually get into it, what are your thoughts first, Jude, of the European Super League?
I'm just confused. Like, I honestly don't know where this has come from. It's just come out of the blue. Yes, I know there's always been little talks about it, but for it to happen this quick and for the timing of the announcement has just been shambolic for me. And I think that you know we have to all unite together now to protest against this because I don't see the point in this Super League when there'd be no relegations, there'd be nothing, there'd be no competition. Why would fans travel all over the country to watch the games? It's just bizarre and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't. It feels like it's all a joke to me. It hasn't sunk in yet.
What about you, Alex? Still not sunk in?
No, I only recall someone like first talking about it at max 2 days before like the actual announcement, and for it to have escalated like that quickly, again, it's just a bit bizarre for me as well. I still don't really get the reason why most teams have done it, and obviously, much thanks to like the teams who got invited to it and ended up like rejecting the offer, which is probably the best thing they could have done. But yeah, it hasn't really sunk in either now.
Yeah, right. So what is this European Super League? So this is what it is. So 20 participating clubs with 15 founding clubs and a qualifying mechanism for a further 5 teams to qualify annually based on achievements of the prior season. It's set to start in August with 2 groups of 10 playing home and away fixtures, with the top 3 in each group automatically qualifying for the quarterfinals. I don't know about you, but when I was just reading what it is and how it's all going to work, I thought it was very American compared, like the NBA and NFL with the conferences. It sounds a bit like that. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like as you said, it's like mostly American owners. I think the Liverpool owners, I don't think all of them are American, but definitely like the main one is, I think, the Glazers as well.
Yeah, Glazers.
And yeah, they're just Americanizing the whole league, and I don't think they're taking into account like the whole philosophy of football in England. Like most people who support football, like they base their life around and football. Like they change different events so they can go to the football match list or like go to the pub with their mates. And I don't think they have like that sort of philosophy around soccer or football in America.
Do you agree with Alex? Do you think it's going to American?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they've reported today that the Americans can't get their head around the idea of relegation in the English leagues. Now, for me, that's what makes it. It's the excitement of who we're going to play next season, who's coming up from the Championship, who's getting relegated. I mean, yesterday's equaliser, Arsenal's equaliser against Fulham, that has settled it for Fulham, in my opinion. That would mean nothing in the Super League. So it's bizarre, and I definitely think there's something fishy going on. You mentioned it, Alex, about the Glazers being one of the main drivers of it, because he used to be the main bank that is funding all of this is a bank called JP Morgan. Now, he used to be a former employee there, and he's meant to be one of the main drivers. So I don't know, just something doesn't seem right there to me.
I believe, is it 5 billion that they're investing into this, JP Morgan?
I believe.
Yeah. It's around that sum, I think. And then it's 3.5 billion for each club. Did they share that all around, don't they?
I think so. I think they're 3.5 billion around the 12 clubs. But yeah.
Do you reckon that we always say like the top 6 clubs and most Premier League clubs are just there for the money, and the other side to football, the money, compared to the actual football side of things, which what it's about? Do you think that this could be the end of football, i.e., from the Premier League downwards?
I I don't really see it be like the end of football. I definitely think they'll have like a backup plan for something like this going on. But for the near future, I think it's going to be very hard for those teams who have gone to the Super League to get back to where they are now, and it's going to be hard for the Premier League to like sort out everything that's going on at the moment, because we can't really finish the Premier League season if they're all leaving. And then who's going to go up, who's going to go down? We don't really know anything, so it's definitely going to be hard. But I think they will have a backup plan in the coming future.
Do you think clubs will be financially all right, Jude, if this does happen?
I think in terms of in terms of the clubs that aren't in the Super League.
Yeah.
I think, look, these clubs, clubs like my club, Aston Villa, Everton, and so forth, testament to them for not signing up to this. I think, we as fans have to be. You said there, do you think this will ruin football? We as fans have to make sure that this doesn't ruin football, because we are. Let's be honest, and the 12 months has emphasised this. Last 12 months is that football is nothing without the fans. The stadiums have been, well, you've seen it on TV, haven't you? It's just not been the same. And the big club, well, every club is on. We really want fans back. We're really looking forward to having fans back. They don't get the top six. This has just proven the top. Well, I'll rephrase that. Not top six, because I don't know who the top six are anymore. But the big six, whatever that means, they just mean nothing to the fans now. They're obviously putting money before us, and they've come out and said that, haven't they? A board member today, an unnamed board member, have said something kind of, I don't know the full quote, but something along the lines of, "We do not care if we get kicked out of the Premier League. The financial side of it is more lucrative," which I think speaks volumes of how every owner thinks.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. And another bit that was added onto it was, I think it was the Glazers were talking about how they actually think it's quite funny that the players won't be able to play internationally. Which,
why?
I don't know. They just said it as a quick comment, and I was like, well, that's massive. Like, they've just said that, but they didn't focus on it too much. But what do you think about that, actually, with UEFA coming out today and saying, well, of course, if you do go into, all the teams, all 12 of them, I'll get them up now, all of these 12 teams go in, all of their players can't play in, well, international competitions, UEFA and FIFA, which is Euros, and the World Cup, of course. So what do you think about that? Were you a bit shocked at that? Do you reckon that's taking it too far, would you say, Jude?
I think, is it too far? Maybe, but you have to make the Super League, or whatever we're going to call it, the American, realise how much of an impact they're having on our game. And I think, it's every player's dream. Players don't dream, young kids don't dream of playing in a Super League that isn't competitive. They dream of playing for the country, representing England or whatever nationality it is, playing in a one-off Champions League final, competing for the Premier League title, which happens once a year against big teams, not against big teams every week. So I think banning them from international duty will be a very harsh punishment, when theoretically the players haven't had much say yet. We've seen a few players come out. I think Ander Herrera, Bruno Fernandes, Daniel Podence has come out and said a couple of things, but really we haven't heard about them, or about their perspectives. So I don't know. My question is, what's happening with the players? We've heard what the boards had to say. What the players going to say now? Do they even want to play in this Super League? Will they have a choice?
Exactly. This is what gets me. Is I was watching the United for Burnley game yesterday, and Ollie gets interviewed after the game. He said, "I only found out this morning." Whether that's entirely true, I'm not too sure, but it's the fact that this just shows how much the owners are taking over, because they've not told the manager whatsoever. I know Thomas Tuchel knew maybe 2 days earlier or something like that, but they've not told them in advance. They've just gone ahead and done it. And I believe Perez, who's the president at Real Madrid, he's going to be overlooking as the head person over the Super League. Do you reckon they've just lost communication and just getting it down from the manager, or do you reckon they've purposely done it so the manager doesn't know until it gets released at, what was it, 11:30 last night, or a bit before?
I think it could be that, but also like they probably see themselves as like higher up, like of power, so they don't really need to consult anyone lower than them to make decisions like this. So they must have just thought like, we'll just do it anyway. But and like going back to what you said about the players like being banned from that international duty, I think although it's probably not the right thing to do because like as you said, the players don't really get any say in anything and they can't really control anything that the club does. But it is another like step forward to stopping these clubs from like doing stuff like this again, because if they see like the players that are playing for them, they probably won't want to play in the Super League, but also they won't get to play for their national team either. It might be like another incentive to stop them like playing, stop them like going to the Super League.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the quote from Joel Glazer today. He said, by bringing, it was yesterday, I think, by bringing together the world's greatest clubs and players to play each other, the Super League will open a new chapter for European football, ensuring world-class competition and facilities and increased financial support for the wider pyramid. What are our thoughts on what Joel Glazer said there? I'm not too sure about the pyramid, but are you, Jude?
No, that's what I was frowning at. Like, how is it going to help the pyramid? Like I said, the joys of football are seeing who's getting promoted. We've seen many teams rise. Sheffield United being one of them, rise from League One all the way to the Premier League. Fortunately, ended on the weekend. But these are success stories and of football, and we haven't just got to think about the Premier League, the Championship. We have to go right down to the bottom of the pyramid and how these are going to affect. I think it will affect massively. I don't agree with what the Glazers are saying one bit.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen the new top six sort of. I believe it consists of Everton, Aston Villa, Leeds United, Leicester, and I think it's Wolves with West. I'm not sure if I've already said West Ham as well. What do we think is that as the big six? What would be now? Because both of your teams are in there, of course. Alex, are you quite excited at the fact that you could be playing Champions League football next year if the clubs aren't allowed in?
I mean, it's pretty bittersweet because like all my life I've been like, I want Everton to play in the Champions League and compete with all these good teams, but I don't think there's a point in us being in the Champions League and saying like we've qualified for the Champions League without also being able to say, look who we've beaten to the Champions League places like Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool. So although it will be nice to play in the Champions League if we do eventually get into it, I just don't think it will be like the same emotions because we're probably second or third best in the league now. So yeah.
What are your thoughts? Would you be excited to maybe play in the Champions League, of course, or because I'll list the teams there that you could possibly play if Villa and Everton do get into the Champions League. Sevilla, Villarreal, Betis, and Real Sociedad from Spain. Italy, Atalanta, Napoli, Lazio, and Roma. France, Lille, PSG, and Monaco. And Germany, Bayern, Leipzig, Wolfsburg, and Frankfurt. It's a bit of a downgrade, of course, but there are still some top teams in there. So how do you feel about playing those teams, Jude?
Yeah, there's a few top teams in there, like you mentioned, the PSGs and the Bayern Munich, and credit to them for not signing up to this league. I think they took it seriously and look where it's got them. So credit to them. And I personally, going back to your question, it wouldn't feel right for me being in the Champions League under these circumstances. The reason why we love the Premier League because it's the most competitive, and seeing the likes of Leicester in third at the moment, Wolves, how they've risen over the past couple of years. They finished seventh in the first Premier League season. Villa this season, Everton challenging. We love to see that, and that's what makes the Premier League. Taking that out, it just wouldn't feel right for me being in the Champions League. It wouldn't be as competitive. But do we have to all unite together and come together and say stand against this?
Yeah, of course, we have seen today Manchester United with a flag banner saying created by the poor, stolen by the rich. Liverpool also held banners outside Anfield as well. And we also saw, I believe it was a Tottenham Hotspur fan with, I think it was like a cardboard like sort of flag type thing. Yeah, as well. So yeah, they're coming out, but they're like, I saw in the pictures, the Anfield one was probably the most where there was a lot of people. I'm just thinking for the places like Manchester, Liverpool, very working class area, this takes that away from them. I know it's sort of been a middle class sport for the last couple of years, but now it's completely gone for the working class. What do you think about that? Because of the money wise?
I just feel like the people running the clubs, I don't like the big six. I just don't feel like they really care because, as you said before, like they're American, they don't really get the philosophy. But I don't get like they've seen everyone putting the signs outside saying like the death of football and then death of Liverpool and everything. But I can't see how they don't see that what they're doing will not benefit the club in any way except financially.
Yeah, looking at the clubs who did reject it, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, PSG, and Porto, and Leipzig as well. What do we think? Well, of course, the Bundesliga has the 51% owned by fans and the 49% owned by private investment. Do you reckon that's the future that if this doesn't happen, do you reckon that's the future? Because even though the owners have attempted to do it, surely they should be not in the equation and the fans should have majority of the clubs.
Yeah, I think the fans. I think that is something that we will look at. I think the fans having being part of the ownership is something that could be possible. I think the government have released something about that. They haven't long released a statement in Parliament, I believe, in the last couple of hours. So I do think that is something that we could look at, and I do think the government will do everything they can to keep football with fans, at the heart of it. But I credit to the teams that you mentioned there, Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich in particular, and PSG. I think the fans are, especially in the Bundesliga. You see how incredible their fans are. They stay after every match. They applaud them off, and the players do exactly the same. Sometimes in England, and you have to say it. Sometimes in England, you travel all the way to an away game, and sometimes the players, let's say you've lost a game, sometimes the players don't come to applaud the away fans. Now, in Germany, they 100% do that. So they take the fans first. I'm not blaming the players there. I'm just using that as an example of how different Germany are to England in the way they run the clubs.
Yeah. Looking at who would win stuff because the Premier League are having a meeting tomorrow morning, I think it's late morning, about what's being discussed. I believe 14 clubs are going to that meeting, representatives, but the big six, so-called, aren't. Whether that's discuss what's going on at the moment, do you reckon that's just to sort out the current situation and just know where they stand, sort of?
Yeah, just like to help like finish the league, how they're going to do that, and then all Europa League qualifications and everything. So I think that's what that'll like primarily be about.
Yeah,
I personally,
you go. Sorry.
I personally I won't believe it until I see it in concrete. Yes, they've announced it officially, but until I see that Everton are in the Champions League, Leicester have won the league, or whatever happens, then I can't see with all this backlash how it's going to happen. I know money drives everything, but come on, the fans. It's the first time, put it this way, it's the first time I've seen everyone agree on Twitter.
Yeah. Alex, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to agree. Like, I can't see, like, because if they end up giving Leicester the title just because they're the top of the teams that are left, but they haven't really won the title. So I don't really see how it can work, and if they do it on points or anything. But yeah, I don't know.
I think as it stands, Leicester would win the Premier League and FA Cup. PSG would win the Champions League, and the Europa League final would be between Roma and Villarreal. So it's a very different. It's it is essentially just taking all the big teams out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, of course, UEFA did announce their new plan today, with, I believe, they're changing the teams from 32 to 36. Is it? Were they going to do it in sort of leagues as well?
Yeah, I saw something regarding leagues. I think it will be a league rather than group structure. I think that was, unfortunately, it's just come on the wrong day. I think that was being planned anyway.
Yeah.
There's a proposal for this, but then overnight, as it seems, this new format has come along and sort of taken the headlines. I do feel that the Premier League should take very harsh action. And although we won't see it as competitive. Personally, for me, either way, whatever happens, I still don't think we will ever see football the same again. In terms of, we won't see the Man United, the Man City, the Arsenal dominating, because I personally believe that you should ban those 6 clubs in the Premier League or relegate them, strip the titles, whatever you do. And I think that's what that meeting tomorrow will be about for some of it. I feel like I'm hearing that some of the 14 clubs want that to happen, want them to be banned, want them to be stripped of their titles, and so they should.
Yeah, I saw something last night saying teams that are excluded from their domestic leagues, in case of deciding to come back, will start their competition from the 5th category in their country, which would essentially be for the English club's National League level. Do you reckon that's a bit too strict, or do you reckon, like you said there, Jude, it needs to be done?
I just feel like it is the right thing to do. Like, at the end of the day, like the clubs themselves, like the people that are running them are in the wrong, and they've done stuff that should be like heavily regarded as like bad by the Premier League, and they should be like fined. They should be deducted points or relegated or anything. But I feel like at the end of the day, the rich people running the clubs are losing money, but the fans are losing like their whole livelihood and everything. And I just feel like there's too much negativity put onto the fans, as well as like the players and the main people who are the wrong, which are the people running the clubs.
Yeah, going back to what you said before, Jude, about possibly deducting points and moving down in the table. I don't know if you saw yesterday, it went completely viral, Gary Neville. This is what he had to say about the matter of the Super League plans. He said, "I can't focus on the game. They should deduct points from all top 6 that have signed up to it, deduct points off them all. To do it during a season, it's a joke." Jude, the things that Gary Neville has said there, do you reckon that's a step too far, like I've said with the internationals as well? Do you reckon that's a little bit too far? Or then again, do you think it's good for them going forwards to clamp down?
Part of me is saying that the internationals is a bit too far, yes. However, the deducting points, in my opinion, for this season isn't at all. I think, like Gary Neville summed it up perfectly, he went viral for a reason, because he spoke facts, and what he said is completely right. Liverpool, you say you'll never walk alone. The People's Club, yeah, they've just gone and announced halfway through towards the end of the season, that they're going to brand new Super League. Arsenal made however many staff redundant during the start of the pandemic, and then towards the end of this season they're going into a big money Super League. It's just shows who has the power in football. It's no longer the fans, but we're the one that's made it. We're the ones that made it what it is today.
Yeah. Jamie Carragher, Alex, said, "What an embarrassment we've become, LFC. Think of all the people who have come before us at this club who would be equally embarrassed as well." I mean, it's a lot to get rid of. I've heard of some of the trophies just being scrapped, like, say, United's 13 Premier Leagues. That's just all going to go away. The Champions Leagues will just go away as well. It'll be all taken off the record. What do you think about
that? Well, I don't know if I agree with it, because you can say you've not won anything, but history states that you have won how many Premier League 13 Premier Leagues, however many Champions League, so they can put that, but I don't think that'll really mean anything. But in terms of like punishing the clubs, you have to look at like if they're going to do a point deduction, then you have to look at like Birmingham City a few years ago. They were, I think it was financial problems, and they were deducted 16 points or something like that. But compared to what these teams have done, basically went against everything that the Premier League are and UEFA are, it needs to be relative. And I don't think there's an amount of points that are relative to a financial problem. And then if you look at what these teams have done.
Yep. So we've seen, like the big clubs nowadays, does it just seem to be money and success? Because Nottingham Forest have won the Champions League twice, and they're a fairly big club, not as big as United and all them, but they're still a very, very big club. Arguably, looking at trophies, they're bigger than Manchester City, I think.
And Tottenham.
Yeah, and Spurs. Yeah. But do you reckon it's just because is this it nowadays? If you're big, you got more money and your success in about 3 or 2 years. That's how you can get into these big competitions, rather than actually looking at the history behind it. Yeah,
definitely. I think again it is down to the American owners. They only see the here and now. They don't really look at the history, and they see Tottenham. They're a club that's got money. They haven't really won anything in the near anywhere near now, but like they've got the money. They've got some world class players, so they're probably a step above anyone else in the league.
Yeah, what do you think about what I said before, Jude, about the big clubs nowadays, just money and recent success in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I agree. Money talks. It always is, isn't it? You only have to look at what Manchester City has done over the past 10 years and, see where they've come from. They 10 years ago, they were nothing, So, yeah, I think money does talk, and it's the biggest factor in football at the moment. However, the joy of that is, like I've just said, Man City 10 years ago were nothing. They weren't a big club, right? Villa once were a big club. Nottingham Forest once were a big club. Everton were a big club. But you can argue that they still are a big club. What I'm trying to say is the turnover of who's a big club is what makes it so exciting. And I think, in fact, the UEFA president spoke out, I'm not sure of his name, and said exactly that the excitement of football is seeing how we see that turnover. In the Super League, you're not going to get that.
Yeah. I've got a season ticket at United, and I don't think I'll be renewing it next year. Just purely, yeah, no, big state. But purely just on the fact that if this does go ahead, I know the prices are going to go straight through the roof. The TV deals they'll be worse than Sky and BT, and they're already quite enough at the moment. So I don't know about you. Will you two still go to games, the one-off games, maybe?
Probably. I don't know. Depending on what happens, I think it probably will affect if I go or not. Like if like the teams that we've been speaking about aren't in it, then it probably will affect how many games I go. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're in the same boat as the teams that have gone over to the Super League. So I think definitely I'm more likely to go than any other football fan who does support the other teams.
What about you, Jude?
I think it's too hard to predict at the moment, mate. I think we're in the very early stage of this, and Sky Sports News reported today that this isn't a civil war; it's a nuclear war between all parties. So I'm not going to comment on where I'm going to go to football games because this is far from over.
Yeah, if anything, it's just the start of it. I know it's been in the works for a long time behind the scenes. The timing of it, it's a bit annoying, isn't it? It's very, very annoying considering COVID, what everybody's been through, and now to announce this, it's just sort of a stab in the back, really, isn't it? A backstab.
For me, it's ridiculous. I think, why you announce it in the middle of a pandemic? Yes, they've got reasons to say. I don't know what their reasons are. It's due to how much money they've lost. But take away football, every business sector is in exactly the same position across the whole world to an extent. So we're all in the same boat, and here's football trying to take advantage of it just because they can get an extra few billion, million, whatever. and it's just appalling in my opinion, and it's heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, Alex, I know you'll agree with me and Jude. The timing's awful with it. When would you have done it? Because they've announced that it's going to be August, that it's going to start.
I don't know. I think it again depends on when they can get like everything sorted out. Because I think they've said they want the clubs to continue in their like respective leagues. So the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga. But I can't see UEFA who run or like, I don't know if they run it or not. I think they're like partners with it and everything. I don't think they'd allow them to come back in if they just went into this scheme that is completely against UEFA as a whole.
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting to see what happens in the next couple of days. Alex, well, actually, before we go on to the fans and questions, I wanted to have a look at the quick team. I showed it before. So take all the German teams out, of course. Do we think PSG are going to be bribed into it with, guess what, money? Do we think that's going to be happening very soon?
Well, they'll prove if they're a proper club or not. If they're a fan, if they care for the fans, I hope they don't, because it will. We need people like them to, stand up against it and protest like we fans are doing. But you never know, do you?
No. Alex, what do you think of the teams on screen? Of course, all 12 of them. They still need 3, though, apparently, to start it. I don't know where they'll get them from. I said Galatasaray, but I think that might be a bit too stretch for them. But yeah, looking at the initial teams, are they all what you expected, really?
Yeah, I think that it's a mix between they've got money now and they had a little bit of history, so they just thought, yeah, we'll throw them in as well. I probably wouldn't expect anyone else on it except from like Bayern and PSG, who obviously rejected it. And yeah,
you said they need 2 more teams.
I think they need. Is it 3 more teams?
I think it's
to
3.
start?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They got 12 and they need 15.
This might be a wild shout, but they've got all the money in recent years. What about some of the teams in China?
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose. Would it be a European Super League?
Ignore that. Ignore
just
that.
a Super League. It could be just a Super League for all we know. Could take an international.
I don't think they can count it as a European Super League anyway, because they've only got three nations. So yeah.
True. I never thought about
Nations League. But yeah, those are the teams. Alex, just before we go on to your question, I said yesterday, I said to a couple of my mates, I said, in the future, and I know Leeds have changed some of the fixtures to like, I think it was, I don't know what they would call it. It was like Trafford Reds or something for United. I think it was in the upcoming games. I think if this does happen in the next couple of years, I think the names would be changed to the clubs, because I don't think the identity of the clubs would be there anymore. So like Manchester United, my team, for example, I don't think it would be Manchester United. I think it would just be the Red Devils or United, because I think where they've started off, where they want to go to, it'll be internationally, and getting rid of the bit in Manchester. I know it's an iconic name, but I think this will be a worldwide fan base. So that's why they'll change the name, so everybody feels involved and they don't feel excluded just because it's one area. I don't know what you guys think about that. I know it's a bit of a far-fetch because next 10 years or so. I also spoke about, I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of years if we start playing our games in Abu Dhabi, places like that, Dubai.
I mean, yeah, with everything that's going on at the moment, with all the money and everything, I can definitely see, like, I think like some teams like Liverpool having like multiple home stadiums and everything, like just moving between them, so more fans over the world can watch them. I don't know, but something like that's going to happen very soon. I'm almost certain of it.
Do you think?
How do you feel?
Go on. Sorry, go on.
How do you feel, Dan, as a Man United fan right now?
I feel. I don't feel angry. I just feel really confused at the moment. Like my head's like just spinning around. I don't know what's going on whatsoever. I'm just still getting my head around it. It's quite hard to understand everything that's going on. But I'm really, really annoyed, because I thought United I thought there was a little bit of us that would care about the fans, but nah, that's all gone now. has completely gone down. Got no way that I'm having that. But yeah, what do you guys think? Because of course you won't be in it, but then again, you still have sort of a bit more competitiveness, would you say? Because the teams around you maybe are sort of to your level. I know maybe not your Burnleys and stuff like that, but do you reckon it'll be a bit more competitive or not?
I think it'll add a bit more like competitiveness, but again, I think with the money that like even though it's not as much money as is going into like the Super League, there's still more money at like Everton, Leicester, and Aston Villa than most teams that'll like come up from the Championship. So I think we'll definitely see like a gap again between the two teams. So I think it will just happen like that again. But I think it'll be definitely more competitive than it is now.
Do you agree with Alex, Jude?
Yeah, you're totally right, mate. I think Villa will be, not to blow around trumpet, but Villa will be the richest club in the Premier League if that happens.
Or even Newcastle with their takeover Newcastle, yeah.
In fact, yeah, if they do it, that's a good chat. What about that? If a takeover that has been talked about for feels like ages now, if that does happen, could you see them go into the Super League?
Yeah,
exactly.
With the owners.
I know Burnley are meant to have a bit of investment from some American owners as well. So
not the best.
We're part American owner as well. We've got
yeah,
Wes Eden, who's American owner, and then Nassif Sawiris, who's Egyptian.
Yeah. Was it a couple of seasons ago that somebody from Japan, was he like XIA? I don't know if he was. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Villa owner. He's now in prison.
Yeah. All right. Alex, would you like to give us some of the fans' thoughts and questions that have been sent in?
Well, I kind of got asked to not show. I don't know why he asked me or not, but I've got some from TalkSport. I found some, so I don't know if you want me to put them on.
Put the fans ones on, maybe. The ones that, because you put something out, didn't you, saying if you've got any clips and stuff on your Instagram.
Yeah, this guy sent me it, but he asked me to not put it up for some reason. I don't know. So yeah.
Was there only just one?
Yeah.
All right. Did you?
Well, the other people that said they'd do it haven't come back to me, so yeah.
Oh, okay. What did the guy say?
So he was actually a Liverpool fan. So he was saying that although like he didn't agree with the Super League and can kind of like see why they've done it with like financially, and I think he was saying a bit about how he's kind of relieved he doesn't have to play against like these teams like week in week out like Sheffield United and everything, but I didn't really understand that much about what he was saying, and he also got across that if like the Super League does go ahead, like the fans of Liverpool, I don't think they'll really want to go to like Real Madrid and Barcelona every weekend. Like they can't afford that, so it's no longer a working class kind of football club.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. I know you've got. Have you got sort of the similar like this later on, Jude, with the Wolves channel?
Yeah. I've been invited onto a Wolves channel. It's just part of, us all coming together to try and voice our thoughts and really stand up against it, which you're going to be very tough against these wealthy owners and presidents of Real Madrid and so on and so forth. But we don't try. We don't know.
Yep. So go and watch that. I believe is it 8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8 o'clock on Dazzling Dave's YouTube channel.
Go and watch that, and also subscribe to Jude. His channel links in down below. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and hopefully we can get a podcast sorted out very soon with you, Jude, as well.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
But yeah,
it's a pleasure. Despite the circumstances.
Yeah, hopefully it gets better. Keep the fight going. All right, we'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.